So what does a business do about this then? How do they go about setting values and speaking about them in a way that's meaningful and not destructive?
You know, it was very interesting because of my experience in the States with Herman Miller and Service Master, both companies which have very strong values. I was asked to help set up a company here, which was awarded the largest outsourcing project of government, ultimately, on the property side, and I thought to myself, because sometimes, you know, when you talk about values so explicitly, particularly as a European coming to America, you feel, is this just an American thing? Mm-hmm. And I felt it wasn't, because I saw people for whom it really mattered to do with these values, and it affected what they did. And I thought to myself, you know, it would be great if we could have values in this new company. I mean, this was a clean sheet of paper. Mm-hmm. And actually what happened was that one or two executives said, it's a great idea, why don't we try and involve a lot of people in the firm? Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. And there was a group set up right across the firm and exploring what exactly the values that the company really wanted to be identified with. And I think one of the most amazing things in this particular example is that these values, they weren't related to anyone's faith or they weren't related to people of faith. I mean, you know, some of the people were agnostics, maybe one or two were atheists, some were Christians, some Jewish people, Muslims. I mean, it was right across the board. But there was there was a sort of common humanity. C.S. Lewis wrote a very interesting book, I think just after the Second World War, called The Abolition of Man. Mm-hmm. And it's really about the teaching of English in schools. But he says that there is, he called it the Tower of Values. He says if you look across all cultures, there are some basic human values. And he also says when you test the universe, it always rings true. And, you know, if the values are respect for the individual, if the values are the importance of integrity, the importance of competence in what you do, the importance of accountability and responsibility, whether it's to the community, to the environment, your shareholders, to your employees and so on. You know, I think that really, to me, is something very practical. And as I said, there is this, what he called the Tower of Values, which in a way you can appeal to a common humanity. I mean, if we went out of the street and saw an old lady being mugged, we would instinctively react against it and want to do something. Mm-hmm. And I think what you, by putting these values into business principles or a mission statement or codifying them in some ways, what you're doing ultimately is you're taking the sort of huge well of experience that there is in the human conscience and the depth of that conscience, the collective sort of depth of the conscience, and saying, and people will say, yes, we agree with that.